Sara Gilbert has been up to quite a bit since her glory days of hanging out with Leonardo DiCaprio and the gang. But seriously, what's the deal with everyone thinking she's related to Patrick Mahomes? Sara Gilbert helped bring Roseanne back to television after more than a decade off the air. She felt like the sitcom story of a working-class family would resonate with audiences again, telling Entertainment Weekly, "That's a voice that's not been spoken for enough in this country, and we feel hopefully that we can be a uniting force in that way." It was a hit. According to Nielsen ratings, the revival of Roseanne pulled in 20 million viewers, numbers that most shows don't even come close to anymore.
Their roles resonated with Middle America, with some of the highest numbers of viewers in cities like Tulsa, Cincinnati, and Pittsburgh.
But then the show was abruptly canceled after star Roseanne Barr tweeted racist remarks targeting Valerie Jarrett, a former senior advisor to President Obama. Gilbert had previously defended Barr's character's political beliefs, telling a Watch What Happens live caller,
"The show is not about politics. It's really about what happens to a family when there's a political divide."
But while Gilbert defended the character's fictional action, there was no defending Barr's actual actions. Gilbert issued a statement on X, formerly Twitter, saying, "Roseanne's recent comments about Valerie Jarrett, and so much more, are abhorrent and do not reflect the beliefs of our cast and crew, or anyone associated with our show." Barr publicly complained to Fox News about Gilbert's perceived lack of support, but Gilbert told Gold Derby that the controversy took a toll on the entire Roseanne cast. "It was a hard time because we were making something that we loved, and no one thought that it was going to go that way. We didn't expect that turn of events, so it was hard to go through on a lot of levels." Instead of saying goodbye, though, Gilbert got to work behind the scenes, producing a spin-off called The Connors that wrote Barr out and gave Darlene a bigger role. Still, she told Deadline that the change wasn't as big as it might have seemed. "I saw the show as an ensemble from the beginning of this reboot, and I continue to see it as an ensemble." Sara Gilbert is a veteran of the small screen, but she's never been one to take her career for granted. In 2020, she told Entertainment Weekly, "I would love to take credit for being able to make a TV show successful, but so often there are elements outside of your control. You do your best, and then stars align, or they don't." In addition to reprising her role as Darlene on both Roseanne and The Connors, Gilbert has put in a number of guest appearances on other shows since she returned to television acting, following a long hiatus while working on the talk show The Talk. She's also appeared as herself on several shows, including Supergirl. She told Deadline that when it comes to acting, she intentionally tries to find roles that allow her to explore a certain tone. "I think I'm really drawn to projects that are a blend of comedy and drama, projects that, if it's a comedy, are still very emotional and poignant, and if it's a drama, it's still extremely funny. I like that world in between, because I think that's what life is like." Sara Gilbert was one of the co-creators of The Talk, the CBS alternative to The View. The chat show featured Gilbert and co-stars like Sharon Osbourne, each of the women giving their opinions about the news of the day. But in 2019, after 9 years at the table, Gilbert decided it was time to leave The Talk. In an emotional on-air speech, she revealed that she'd been struggling to balance her acting, her family life, her time on The Talk, and her growing career as a producer. On her final episode a few months later, Gilbert addressed the audience saying, "This show has always been about community and connection, and I want to thank you for letting me belong." It didn't take long for Gilbert to miss the show that had been her home for nearly a decade. Speaking with Variety in 2020, she reflected on what her life had been like since she left The Talk. In particular, she shouted out everybody at The Talk, who made it such a great place to work for so long. "It was just such a great environment, such a friendly place to go every day, so I do miss that." In December 2019, TMZ broke the news that Sara Gilbert had filed for divorce from her wife, Four Non-Blondes frontwoman Linda Perry. Intriguingly, the date of their separation was listed as that August, the same month that Perry stopped in on The Talk to help celebrate her wife's last day on the show. Gilbert and Perry first got together after Gilbert split from her longtime partner, Ali Adler, in 2011, with whom she shares 2 children. After paparazzi photos of Gilbert and Perry made the rounds and got tongues wagging, Gilbert confirmed the relationship on a 2011 episode of The Talk. The two got engaged in 2013, tied the knot in 2014, and welcomed a child in 2015. A source who spoke with Closer Weekly confirmed that Gilbert and Perry's split was relatively amicable, and they were still on good enough terms to make a co-parenting situation work out just fine, as they were given joint custody of their son Rhodes. The source said, "Unfortunately, the marriage didn't work out, but they still have to co-parent Rhodes and there are no plans to avoid each other." One of the reasons why Sara Gilbert left The Talk was to focus on her production work. To that end, in 2019, she formed a production company with Tom Werner. The veteran producer has worked on everything from Roseanne to Third Rock from the Sun. Gilbert told Variety that their production company, Sara plus Tom, was born out of that decades-long relationship, ever since Gilbert was a child star on Roseanne in the 80s. When I was a kid, he was the guy behind the scenes making it all happen. It's truly a dream to call him my partner, and I look forward to making impactful, funny, and moving content together. Gilbert detailed their plans in another interview with Variety. She said they first started having discussions about it when Roseanne was retooled into The Conners, and they realized their partnership simply made sense. It's almost like the choice was made for us. We work so well together and have such great chemistry, so it just felt like a natural extension of what we were already doing. In a 2021 chat with the Yale Alumni Association, Gilbert shared that her company is most interested in scripted projects for TV. We would do a film, but so many films are now on streamers, so it all has kind of blended into the same space. Back in the 1990s, when they were both starting out in the industry, Sara Gilbert was once a member of Leonardo DiCaprio's infamous posse. Yes, she was part of the young Hollywood crew that also included stars like Tobey Maguire, Lucas Haas, Q-Tip, and others. DiCaprio and Gilbert were regularly seen hanging out back in the day, going to events together and finding themselves photographed by paparazzi at trendy nightlife spots. As an unnamed source quipped in a New York Magazine feature back in 1998, if they're a new Rat Pack, Gilbert is the Shirley MacLaine figure. Decades later, Gilbert's friendship with DiCaprio seems to still be going strong. In 2023, they both attended the US Open, and video of her evidently getting frustrated with her friend went viral on social media. Former The View host Michelle Collins tweeted a video of Gilbert looking back in consternation as DiCaprio prattled on, writing, "I, for one, will cherish this footage of Sara Gilbert getting pissed at Leonardo DiCaprio for talking at the US Open." According to BuzzFeed, Gilbert also attended her friend's 49th birthday party that same year. Some guests weren't a surprise, like frequent DiCaprio co-star Tobey Maguire, but Gilbert also partied alongside stars like Kim Kardashian and Selma Hayek. Hollywood, what a world. Sara Gilbert is primarily known for her work on television, from her star-making role in the original Roseanne up through her runs on ER, The Big Bang Theory, and beyond. In 2023, however, she returned to the big screen for the first time since 2004, when she appeared in 80 for Brady, a football movie starring Hollywood legends like Jane Fonda, Sally Field, Rita Moreno, and Lily Tomlin. In a behind-the-scenes interview from the set of the film, Gilbert said she signed on because of how impressive the rest of the cast was. She said just one of those actors would have excited her, so she was even more hyped to be able to act with the whole cast.
I mean, you can't think of anyone better to be in a movie with.
In particular, Gilbert was excited that she played the daughter of Hollywood legend Lily Tomlin. She'd looked up to the actor since she was a kid, and this felt like a full-circle moment. After saying that it felt like she had a special bond with her, even though she didn't really know her, she said,
"To play her daughter was just the ultimate childhood fantasy."
In early 2024, Gilbert went viral online for a very odd reason. Over the past few years, fans on social media noticed something about football star Patrick Mahomes. He kind of looks like he could be related to Gilbert. Other fans took it a step further and joked that they might even be the same person. One fan tweeted in 2020, "I'm just saying we've never seen Sara Gilbert and Patrick Mahomes in the same room together." And in 2023, after a particularly heated Mahomes moment lit up the internet, one fan wondered, "Anybody know if Sara Gilbert does cameo? I would love to see her recite Patrick Mahomes' post-game hissy fit word for word." By all accounts, the Roseanne alum sure seems to get a kick out of the meme. The veteran actor addressed the comparisons on an episode of The Jennifer Hudson Show, admitting that she now follows Mahomes' career just because of the resemblance. Furthermore, she said, her Kansas City Chiefs fandom has absolutely nothing to do with Taylor Swift's relationship with Travis Kelce, and everything to do with Mahomes, joking.
Taylor Swift's great.
She's great.
But that's my son.
Gilbert acknowledged that her interest in the NFL feels a bit out of character, at least according to her loved ones. She concluded,
"It is sort of a strange turn of events that has happened."
At first, Sara Gilbert wasn't sure that rebooting the rebooted Roseanne as the Conners was the way to go. It took some convincing, as she explained to Variety. "We were all scared. We didn't know how it was going to go. We didn't know how the reviews were going to go.
We felt like we had so many more stories to tell
that I felt like it would be a shame to not be able to give that to people.
But the reviews were good, and in 2024, the sitcom celebrated a landmark 100th episode. Gilbert appeared on The Kelly Clarkson Show and counted down her favorite storylines that the show has explored, noting that she loved one episode where Darlene tries to be sexy for her husband.
So I had to do this dance and all this kind of stuff, and so it was sort of wildly uncomfortable, but we laughed so hard.
She also offered a theory about why the show has resonated with people for so long, saying she thought the working-class view of the world struck a chord with many viewers. The characters were interesting from the start, and there was the luck of the chemistry. It's real for a lot of people, and I think a lot of people relate to it. Speaking with ABC7's On the Red Carpet, Gilbert offered further reflections on the success of the spinoff. Putting it simply, she said, "It just seemed impossible. And then another season, and here we are."